In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to set up the gradebook in Sakai if we use weighted categories. So when you first add the gradebook, which we did through the Site Editor, Edit Tools, and we selected the gradebook to add, it will show up in the left menu bar. When you click on the gradebook, the first thing you're going to see on the right panel is Set Up Gradebook. It wants to know what kind of grader you are. We have already decided that we're a weighted categories person, so this means that your gradebook is going to be set up along the lines of homework assignments are 30%, participation is 10% of the grade, the main project could be worth 20%, and your exams may be worth 40%, something along those lines until it reaches 100%. If you don't use weighted categories, this is not the tutorial for you, and we'll check the other one. The next question it asks me is how do you grade? So you can grade using points or percentages or letter grades. In this case, we're going to use points. I find that if your assignments are worth 100 points, stick with points instead of percentages. In the third panel, Display to Students, this is what the students will see when they come in to the gradebook. If you release the course grade, that lets them know how they're doing during the semester. Some folks do this, others don't. So I'm going to uncheck that box. Released items means any item or assignment that I've given a grade and that I've released to the students. If you do not check this box, the students will see no grades. Some folks use the gradebook just as an internal item for themselves, and so they wouldn't release that. But the majority of folks want the students to see their grades, so then you would click on Released Items. You have other options such as the mean, median, and mode, and class rank. When you're happy with your setup, just click on Save and Close, and now you will see the gradebook and your list of students. On the left panel, we have a bunch of options: File, Edit, View, Tools, etc. If you decide that you want to change how your gradebook is set up, that's done under the Edit menu, Gradebook Settings, and that brings us back right where we just were. I'm going to close that and scroll back up. Now we want to add categories to our gradebook. We do that through the File menu, New Category. So my first category is going to be homework, and I'm going to make that 30% of the grade. I can decide to release the scores, weight items equally, or weight items by points. In this case, I'm going to weight items equally because I want to drop one of the lowest homework assignments, and I just type the one in. If I don't weight items equally, it will not allow you to drop the lowest, which makes sense because if they're weighted by points, how will it know the lowest grade? I'm happy with this, so I click on Add and Close. Now I go back to the File menu, New Category. I'm going to add an Exams category. This will be 40% of the grade, and I'm going to weight items equally again. Some folks have their midterm worth less than the final, so that would be a case where you would want to do weight items by points, or you could uncheck everything and you'll actually be able to change the percentages. In this case, I'm going to weight them equally, add and close. So you'll see that 70% of my grade is homework and exams. I come back to the File menu, New Category. I'm going to make this project 20% of the grade, weight items equally, add and close. And then my final category is going to be participation, and I'll make that 10% of the grade, weight items equally. So all I've done is created these buckets in which I will now add items. Items are assignments. So I can't give any grades to these actual buckets. When I come to the File menu, I click on New Item, and this I'll put in Homework 1. It asks me what category is it in, and I say it's in the homework category. It defaults to 100 points. If you want, you can type in 100 or type in 10, however many points your assignment is worth. Here's where it asks me, do I want to release a score to the student? Yes, I do, so I check that item. Some folks, though, don't want to release the scores until they're all entered. Say you only were halfway finished your midterms, some of your students would see their grades while others didn't. This cuts down on unnecessary emails or phone calls. I'm going to click on Add and Close, and then on the left-hand side you'll notice there's a new item underneath Homework. I'm going to come back to File, Make an Item. I'm going to make this the midterm, put it in the category of exams, leave it 100 points, and release the score. I'm going to do the same for each of my categories. Come into the category for project, release the score, add and close, and again come to File, New Item, give a participation grade for the midterm, category participation, release the score, add and close. As soon as I have one item in each of the categories, the red that was saying that my gradebook was not evenly weighted or properly weighted goes away. So now my gradebook is set up to give grades to my students, but it's not showing up on the right-hand side. So I'm just going to check the box next to Homework 1, and as soon as I do that, I see a new column show up on the right side. I just click in the column and I can type in a grade. And then I see that my students are getting grades. Now the course grade, depending on if we released it or not to the students, will show up with a letter grade. It may be a different scale than you use, and you can change that under Edit, Grade Scale. The default grade scale is set that anything over 93 and over is an A, anything 90 and over to 92.99 is an A-, etc. If you want to change this, you just click in the box and you can change the grade, and it will do an automatic calculation for you. When you're happy with that, click on Close, and it's good to go. If you want to enter grades in for a particular student, you can just click on the student's name, and over in the right panel, you will see all of the items that have been added already. You could just come in, give them a grade, and it would show up for the students. You can leave comments on each item if you wanted to, and you can even excuse an item. So say you give typically 10 quizzes and a student comes to you and they absolutely cannot take a quiz. You could actually excuse it, and so then it would work out the average based on 9 quizzes. If you want to see the student view, click on View as Student, and then you will see how the student actually sees their grades. To get out of student view, I'm over in the lower right corner. I click on Close, Close again, and that brings me back to my gradebook. So that's how to set up your gradebook for weighted categories. There is another video on how to set your gradebook up if you don't use weighted categories. In other words, you're a points person.